Hey guys, this is Kevin at ChristianPhotoshops.com, and today we're going to be doing a tutorial on how to create this picture right here. Now this picture features an old abandoned house or building that me and my wife found while we were traveling to the mountains. And so we pulled over, took some pictures of the house, and I knew one day I'd be able to use it for some kind of project, and I guess today is that day. So this picture was kind of inspired by a Bible verse talking about going from darkness to light. So in this picture, I'm going to go through in the tutorial on how to create everything, like how to create the light coming out of this doorway and how to create the darkness into this doorway. And as well as all of the other editing and coloring and all the light effects and all that stuff right there. So I'm going to show you step by step how I created this image. I hope you enjoy it. I hope you learned something from it. We got a lot to cover, so let's go and get started right now. Okay, let's go ahead and get started with this project. The first thing you obviously want to do is open up a new canvas in Photoshop, so just File and New. And the spec that I've got for this one is 5750 by 3750 pixels. So a nice wide rectangle for my canvas for this one. Another thing you want to do before you get started, you want to obviously have an idea of what you're trying to create. So I'm basing this image off of, there was an old house or cabin or store. I'm not really sure what it was, but me and my wife were driving to the mountains, and we saw this on the side of the road, and I had to take a picture of it. So it's just a really old rundown building. I don't know how old it is. I don't know what it was used for. But I walked around it and took several pictures of it. And this is kind of my starting point for the project. So let me go ahead and we're going to go ahead and move this into my canvas. So just drag that over, and I'm just going to put it right there for right now, right in the center. Now, for my sketch, I normally would make a sketch before I even go out and take any pictures. But in this instance, I actually took the picture first, and now I'm going to kind of sketch out what I want to do with it. Now, I really did not have any plans when I went out to take this picture. I just saw it, thought it was cool, and I said, I'll use it one day. And so that's what we're going to do today. Now, I took this picture, and I really like, if you can see, there's two doors here. There's one over here on the left side, and there's one over here on the right side. And they're both grown over, and there's vines and foliage and some broken boards and everything kind of covering them. And I really liked these two doorways right here. So I like that. And a Bible verse that came to mind, I like to always base these pictures on Bible verses. The verse that came to mind when I thought of these two doors was 1 Peter 2:9. So if you want to look that up, you can. But the verse is 1 Peter 2:9. And the second part of that verse says that God has called us out of darkness and into his marvelous light. So I love to play with darkness and light. And that's what I thought I could do with here. I could have one door would be dark, and then the other door maybe have light in it. So for my sketch, for what I thought about doing for this picture is just kind of have this door over here, like kind of blackened out, like really, really dark. And then this side over here would be really light and have like nice, vibrant, glowing lights coming out. And then I can play with some different colors and everything. So you would have, a concept here where we're going from the dark side on this door over here, and then we're going to move over to light here. And so to add one more element to the picture, I would want to have a model. In this case, it actually is going to be me because I'm the only one home right now, so I'm the only one that can take a picture. So I would be right here, and I would be moving from darkness to light. So I envisioned kind of standing here and maybe walking towards the light. But at the same time, while I'm going in this direction, maybe I'm being pulled back by the darkness. So I thought, one way to do that would be with like a rope or chains. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take a picture with chains around my wrists. I don't know if you can see that, but right there around the wrist, and then they would be kind of leading back into the darkness. So the idea is that I'm trying to break free from the darkness and go towards the light. So that's the idea. This is the sketch. I really like this old rundown building, and I think I can do this. So this is what we're going to start with. That's the idea. I've already got pictures of myself in the chains, and I've got some other things that we're going to add to the picture. So with this idea in mind, this concept, let's go ahead and get started and bring this all together. So the first thing I want to do is I want to make sure I get this building in the picture where I want to. So I'm actually going to make it just a little bit smaller. Not a lot smaller, but maybe about right there. Okay. And now the foreground is white. That is a problem. You don't want a white foreground. So we're going to extend the foreground just a little bit. And here's just a really simple way to do that is just take another picture somewhere else. This is a picture of the mountains that we visited, and this is just a grassy valley with little mountains in the background. But I'm going to take this picture right here. I'm going to put it underneath my main picture. And actually, I'm going to go ahead and stretch. So I'm going to put that picture of grass underneath it. And let's see. There's not much space here. So let me move this. Okay, so there you see the grass underneath it. And here's the main one. I want to blend these two together. You see, we got a little asphalt over here. We have a billboard in the background, and I'll take care of those in a minute. But I want to match the foreground and background so I can kind of seamlessly blend these things together. And so the way you're going to do that is, you've got, first of all, you got to look at your problem. You've got green up here, which is kind of a bright, vibrant green. And then down here, you've kind of got a dull, more of a yellowish green than anything else. And we need to make sure these two greens match up in color. And then once they match up in color, then you can blend them together. So how we're going to do that is, first of all, here's my top layer. I'm just going to call it house. We need to do a levels adjustment on the house. So go down to your adjustment layers and do levels adjustment, and then make sure you clip it to the house. So Control-Alt-G will clip it straight to the house, and that way we're only going to be changing the levels on this layer. But now that you have your levels on the house, I'm going to try to get these greens, or at least this part of the picture, to look closer to that part of the picture below. So the first thing I would do is I'm going to take my whites down here at the bottom, and then I'm going to just bring them really far over like that. And that's not bad. That's a pretty good start, really. Don't worry about the house being dark or the sky being dark. We'll take care of that. But I'm just looking at the green here. So I'm going to take my highlights down. So it's going to be a lot darker image overall. And you notice when I do that, you can tell these leaves are a little bit more green, and these down here are a little bit more yellow. So let's make them turn a little bit more yellow. So you're going to go to your blues, and you're going to take away blue, which actually turns it to yellow. So I'm going to go down here, take away the blues, which turns it to a yellowish color. And then I'm also going to go up here and take away some blue. There we go. And we can also add a little bit of green. Take away a little bit of green. And turn off that. Okay. So pretty much what you're doing is you're playing around. You're trying to make the two images match in color as best you can. So here's before and after. This is without level adjustment. You see it's just bright, vibrant green. And then we added the levels adjustment, and now it's really close. It's really close to that picture below. You're not going to get perfect, but you're going to get close. And now that looks good. So now that we have two images that are very similar in color, we can go ahead and start blending them together and make this foreground a little bit more of the foreground. Okay, so we have both of our layers, and so what we're going to do is we're going to mask out the bottom of this house layer so that the layer below will show it. So all you do is click your layer mask. Now, if you're not familiar with layer mask, what a layer mask is it's going to create a little white box right here, and then everywhere you paint paint black, it's going to erase the picture that it's going to erase part of the layer that you're on. So, for example, if I erase if I've painted black over the house, that's what's going to happen. It's going to erase part of that house, and it's going to reveal whatever's underneath it. In this case, it's that landscape. We don't want to erase the house. We just want to erase this part down here. Now, I could take just a normal round brush like this, and I could just paint right down here, just like that. And there you go. But that doesn't look really good because you got these really big paint shapes here, and that just does not look like it blends very well. So what I'm going to do instead is I've downloaded some brushes that have foliage, tree branches, and leaves, and tree elements, and other things like that. And I'm going to do that instead. So I'll give you a link below in the comments where to get these brushes. But this is what I do instead of the nice round soft brushes. I actually use brushes that look more like this. Let me go and show you what they look like. So this is like a picture of some leaves. And so when you paint it, it kind of looks like that. So when you use that on a mask, what it does is it erases the part of the layer, that down there, and it does it more of a natural way. So it doesn't look like you straight up erased it. It's kind of erasing it in more of a natural way, and you're revealing more of the grass below in a natural shape. Okay, that looks much, much better. So now pretty much the only reason I did all of that is just I wanted to add more foreground. I felt like when I took the picture, there was too little foreground, so I just want to add a little bit more foreground. And I do want to do one more step before we go to the next thing. This grass right here in the beginning, it does match the color pretty close, but I do want to make it a little bit darker. So same thing, do a levels adjustment. We'll blend it to this layer, and I'm just going to call this one Valley, so we know what we're talking about. But that Valley layer, I'm going to do a levels adjustment. And what I'm going to do here is I'm just going to make it a little bit darker. Not that dark, maybe just a little bit more green. Okay, that's not bad. And then I'm going to kind of mask out that levels adjustment right here at the edge. So the only part that's dark is really at the bottom of this. Okay, that looks fine. So there's what we had, and then we added some more grass on the bottom side. Okay, now our house layer. Let me zoom out. Our house layer, it made it really dark when we did that levels adjustment, and it's actually too dark for me to start with. We might tinker with the colors later, but it's a little too dark for me right now. So that levels adjustments we did, remember we made the grass darker. I don't want to do it everywhere. Just the grass is fine. So I'm going to kind of erase part of that layer. I mean, that levels adjustment up here, about where the sky's at. And then maybe just a little bit where the doors are at. Especially this door over here. Remember, we're going to have a lot of light coming out of here, so I don't want it terribly dark. So I'm just going to get rid of a little bit of that levels adjustment. Okay. It's going to be dark over here, so we can have plenty of darkness on this. All right, that looks good. Now, let's start getting to work on some imperfections here. First of all, that power line is just it's it just looks horrible. So this power line right up here, can't have that in my picture. And there's the easy way to get rid of it. Um, there's more than one way to do this, but I'm just going to do this with the healing brush. So go to your layer, get your healing brush, alt click somewhere near it, do it right there, and then I'm just going to paint with the healing brush where those power lines are. Same thing right here. Get rid of that one, and then get rid of that one. Then I'm going to just kind of clean this up real quick. Okay, power lines are gone. That's nice. Now I've got a billboard here in the background, which looks a little tacky, so we need to get rid of that. This is a small part of the picture, so I'm not going to try to be perfect with this one. But what I'm going to do is take my my clone stamp tool right here, alt click where you want to blend it, and we'll say about right there. And then you're just going to paint over in that spot. Now this is going to look a little weird at first, but that's okay because we'll come back and clean it up. But all I'm doing is I'm just taking a part of the picture and copying it, or cloning it as the tool would be called, and I'm cloning it to another part. So I'm taking the mountains in the background and just kind of covering up that billboard because I just don't want billboard in this. Okay. And then over here where we got more of the leaves and foliage, I'm just going to clone that over there. And then I'm going to take my brush tool and do that little leaf thing we did earlier. Which doesn't match the leaves perfectly, but that's okay. And I'm just going to take a dark color and a paint out here. Oh, let me change my. Get a little light. Okay, there we go. Billboard is gone. It's not perfect, and that is okay because this is such a small part of the picture that no one's going to look at it. But the billboard's gone. The power lines are gone. That's great. Let's go ahead and add some clouds. I took this picture on a very boring cloud, completely overcast day. So I'm going to add some clouds to give it a little bit of texture. Here's another picture of clouds I've taken in the past. I'm just going to put that on top of everything. And move it around just a little bit. Like this. And then we'll change the blend mode to multiply. Cover it up like that. And I'm probably going to go ahead and take the color out of it. So desaturate it. Actually, I'm not going to desaturate. Let's go to your hue and saturation, and we'll take out about half of the saturation. Okay. And then, obviously, I don't want to multiply those clouds all over the canvas. So I'm going to just kind of mask out. I'm going to mask out part of the clouds that are not necessary. Right there. And then once I'm done with that, I'm going to take my opacity, and we're not going to do 100%. We're going to do more like 60 or 70%. Just a little bit of, a little bit of character in the background is all I'm going for. All right, so we got our background taken care of, got our imperfections out, and let's go ahead and go to the next step. All right, we are going to the next step now, and that step, first of all, before I move on, let me show you one more trick we can do. Here's another picture of the cabin or the house or whatever it's called. and this is from the back angle. So there's some more weeds and stuff over here. I'm gonna probably not gonna do this, but I want to show you real quick. You could always just copy and paste like this, then put this over here. Just add um, a little bit more character if you wanted to. When you make the foreground a little bit, um, stretch the foreground out so it fills up more of the canvas. You can always do that, and then the same thing. You would just add some levels adjustment, get those colors to match up right. And then when you finally get it the way you want it to, the same thing. You would take your take your brush and just stuff like that. So I'm not going to do that for this one, but the whole reason I showed you that is because you can take multiple pictures of the same scene and just blend them together if you think that would be helpful. I don't have to do it for this one, so I'm not going to worry about that. But that is an opportunity. So if you do take one picture of a house or whatever you take a picture of, be sure to take pictures of other things around, some of the grass and some of the pictures. You can always blend them into your work, and it does help sometimes. But we're just going to leave it like that. Most of the focal point is going to be at the center of the image. I'm not worried too much about the edges. So we do have our main background. I'm going to go ahead and take all of, just for organization's sake, I'm going to go ahead and take all of these layers and just group them together. So just do Control G and just, we're going to call this background. So everything else is going to go on top of the background, obviously. This is all the layers of the grass and the house and the clouds. Everything else is going to go up on top of that. Go ahead and crop that. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to work on the glow of this door right here. So we're going to go ahead and work on that now. This is the fun part. So we have a door. Actually, it looks like more like a window the more I look at it now, but we're going to pretend it's a door. So what you're going to do is, it's going to take several steps, but the first step we're going to do is I'm going to go ahead and outline that door, the rectangle. So I'm going to go right here, about right there, with my selection tool. Okay, so there's our doorway. There's our main doorway that I've just made a selection around. Now this is going to be a bright glowing door. It's going to have light coming from the inside going to the outside. And the color I'm going to do is like going to be kind of a blue. You can pick any color you want. But for me, I'm going to do kind of a dull blue like that. And I'm going to fill it. Okay. So now we have our door. Kind of adjust the size real quick. Okay. So that's our doorway. Now I'm going to, it's too hard. The edges are way too hard and the corners are too sharp. So I'm going to blur it just a little bit. Probably about 25 pixels or so. That looks fine, just like that. Okay, so there's our door that's going to be glowing in a few minutes. Now I'm going to take the opacity, go down to maybe about 70%. We can always come back. And I'm going to change the layer just for organization's sake. I don't always name my layers, but I will name it this time. And we'll call this call it original glow. Okay. Now I'm going to get a big, large brush, a soft brush, and I'm going to paint some blue over top of it. This time I'm going to go just a little bit brighter blue, a little bit more saturated. I'm going to get my flow and opaque, or just the flow down really, really low, because I'm going to paint a nice big swath color right here. So all I'm doing is just painting right along the edges of the door. That's some glows coming out. And you don't want to do too much. If you do too much, you can always lower the opacity. I don't want to hide too much. I do want to have a nice little glow right there. That's probably a little too much. So we'll do about Just tone the opacity down. We're going to do glow 1. And then we're going to make a new layer, and then we're going to put it in a group. And we're going to name this group Bright Glows. And you see where it says pass through, this is your blend mode. You're going to change your pass through to color dodge and make sure you have a layer in it. And we can call this glow 2, whatever you want to call it, glow 2. And then while you're in this layer, remember your folder, your group has a blend mode of color dodge, but this actual layer can just be normal. You're going to paint very subtly some blue glows about where the door's at. You can go over the edge just a little bit, and that's okay. But mostly it's going to be that rectangle that you painted earlier. And I might actually change my color more of a purple. That looks fine like that. And I'll take that opacity down. Okay, now we're going to go back down to our original glow. So we got 2 glows on top of it. We'll make a layer mask over that. So remember, let me just show you what we're working on. We're working on this original glow. I'm going to leave the other 2 up though for right now. Now what I'm going to do here is I'm going to paint some of these broken edges here. But instead of painting them, I'm going to actually cut them out. So I got my my selection tool, and I'm just going to paint some of these wooden elements. And they don't have to match up perfect to the image. They're not going to be noticeable later. I'm going to have some broken boards here. And you can do this however you want. You can do a couple boards, a lot of boards, do just 1 or 2, whatever you want to do. I'm just going to have look like there's some kind of damage to this door, to this opening. Some right here. And the good thing about this is on a layer mask. If you don't like it, you can always fix it later. You're not committing to anything. Okay, so there's a good selection of some broken boards. And then all you're going to do, since you're on your layer mask, you're going to take a black brush and just paint over that. Okay, and so now you have that idea of not all of the light is going through because there's some boards that are going to break it. They're going to break the light. And then I'm also going to get my foliage brush out again. And right on the edges, I'm going to paint some of those vines coming in. So all we're doing here is we're not letting 100% pure light come through the door. And this will make sense in a few minutes. We're just stopping some of that light from coming through. Now, the alternative would be to go through and cut out each individual vine and strand, but we definitely don't have time to do that. So what we're going to do is just paint some random destruction of the light coming through this door. Okay, so just a few more little adjustments. Let's zoom out and see how that looks. That's not bad. I'm going to do a few more broken pieces. I'm going to do it with just a little brush here. So I'm going to get just a real small brush, just kind of do some jagged edges here. And there's no science behind this. This is definitely all art. So whatever you think looks good, go for it. Okay, that looks good. I'm gonna do one or two more of the foliage down here. Okay, that looks good. Okay, so now we have this door that's glowing pretty good, but we're gonna add even more glows here. So let's go back to our bright glows folder. We're going to add a new layer on top of that glow 2. We'll call this one glow 3. Make sure you change the blend mode to this one, the screen, though, so it goes through. Now we're going to take a big, large brush and make your flow down really low again. And we're going to paint more color, but this time we're going to do more of a pink color. And same thing, you're going to paint mostly in the door. A little bit more saturated pink. So mostly in the door. You can go outside just a little bit, but mostly in the door. Like that. Okay, and now make a layer mask on that one. And then what we're going to do, you see all those places where we cut out earlier, and I want to cut those out again. So what we're going to do is go to your, remember the mask we made earlier for your original one, just control click that, and it's going to have all of that selected, but it's actually going to be inverted. So go to select and then inverse. Okay. Now, when you're back up in your bright glows folder with your mask, you can paint black on that selection, and it's going to get rid of that bright glow on some of those, some of those broken boards. And you'll see what it looks like. I'm just going to paint all of that. So all of those things we drew earlier with the broken boards and the foliage, I'm just going to remove that from my glow. So there you go. You can see what it did there. Here's before. Oh, let me do that. Let me show you what it looks like without the mask. So here's without the mask, and then here's with the mask. So you can tell I'm putting more of that glow back behind those boards. Okay, that looks good. So now it looks like we have a believable doorway that's going through. Now, there's one thing that you might have noticed. If there's all this light coming through the door, why is it not hitting the ground? And that's because we haven't painted it on the ground yet. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So back where, back in your bright glows folder, make another layer and make it screen. And then we're going to go ahead and do your blues. So just do a blue that's similar to the one we did earlier. Like that. And change your flow down, and you're just going to paint where you think that glow would fill out into these leaves, these limbs, and all of this green. You would naturally think that it would just go out like this and make a nice little beam of light onto the ground. That. Come out just a little bit. And it's going to fan out too. It's not going to be a straight rectangle. It's more of a fan. But draw about what you think it would come out as, and then just kind of clean that up a little bit. A little bit too much. It's a little bit too bright. So just take your layer mask, work on that. And then I even think that's too much. I'm just going to bring it down to about 70%. And then another thing you can do is take your foliage brush again and paint out some of those spots. So it doesn't look like everything's getting hit perfectly. Okay. So there we go. We got light coming out of the door. Let's do that trick we did earlier. Get those things we drew earlier. Okay, that looks pretty good. All right, that looks good. We could work on that glow a little bit more. Let's just leave it like that for right now. All right, we got the right door. Now, let's work on the left door. Okay, so the left door, as we said earlier, is going to be darkness. So the right door is light, left door is dark. So here's what we're going to do. Kind of everything we just did, but in reverse. So, or not reverse, we're going to do it opposite. So I'm going to make a new layer, and I'm going to paint black in a rectangle. A rectangle is going to go about right there. And we're just going to paint. Okay, I'm not going to do black. I'm going to do this color right here, which is almost black. Fill that, and we're going to call this layer Original Darkness. Great. All right, same thing. We're going to blur it. Just use a Gaussian blur, and about 25 pixels looks fine. And then we're going to lower the opacity by about 70, 75, something like that looks fine. Same thing, same idea here. We don't want all the darkness going through. You can see all these limbs and leaves and stuff. And so it doesn't make a lot of sense that all of them would be dark. So what I'm going to do, I may have some other foliage brushes that might work a little bit better. So I'm going to bear with me as we do a little trial and error here. Try this one. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm just going to paint with the foliage brush. I'm just going to kind of paint in spots where the darkness would not be, it wouldn't be pure dark, because the further you're inside, it would be dark, but the closer you are to the outside would not be pure darkness. And then, so these little leaves out here, they wouldn't be pure dark. They would be pretty dark, but they wouldn't be pure dark. And then there's some little strands. You can see if you zoom in, you can see all these little strands of vines that are going through. So I'm just going to take a real small brush, kind of paint some vines. All I'm doing is painting on the layer mask. So I'm getting rid of that darkness. And there's one right here. And there's some out here. Okay, so let's zoom out. There we go. So we got a nice dark opening there. And actually, let's try, we have it at 75% percentile, but let's go opacity, but let's go and go all the way up to 100. Actually, about 90%. Now it's really dark in there. So it's really dark back there. And so this is before and this is after. You can tell how it definitely makes it look like there's a lot of darkness behind that door rather than just a closed door. Okay, so now let's zoom out. This is what we got. We have a dark door and we have a bright door. And so the next step is we're going to have the model, which is me. We're going to have me walking from the darkness and into the light. So let's go ahead and open up that picture. So the picture that I've got is this one right here. And so this is me. The point of the pose was to be shackled in the chains, and then kind of pulling the chains away from where I'm walking to. So I'm walking to the right, but the chains are pulling me back to the left. So that's the idea here. Now, I don't have time in this tutorial to go over how to cut out a person from the background. I have other tutorials on how to cut someone out. So I went ahead and cut myself out, and I'll show you that in a second. I didn't have enough chain to wrap my arms up and then go 10 feet behind me. So I only had a little bit of chain, so I didn't have enough. So what I did was I took another picture of just me holding the chain up, and then I went in and cut out that chain. And so I've got a picture of me with chains, and I've got a picture of the chain by itself. And then what I'll do is I'll just blend the two together. So I've already cut them out. So we don't have to go over how to do that. Here is the picture of me completely cut out. And what I'll do is I'll just move that into our project. And I'm going to change it to a smart object. So just right click it and do convert to smart object. And we'll just call this model. Now, as a smart object, I can make it bigger or smaller. I can change my mind later, and it's never going to be pixelated. So that's great if you don't know where you're going to put the picture or where you're going to put the model at. You don't know how big you're going to make it. If that's the case, always make it a smart object. That way you don't have to worry about pixelation later. I'm thinking, though, let's see, you have to figure out your scale here. I got to be able to fit through the door, so I can't be like this big. That would be, unless I'm closer to the camera. But you don't want to be too small. So the trick is you need to figure out the right size. And this just comes with kind of practice. You need to figure out where you are at in relation to the camera and figure out what size you need to be. So I'm going to say about right here, about right in the middle. I think that would be pretty cool to be caught in the middle between darkness and light. Again, this Bible verse that inspired this picture is 1 Peter 2:9, and it shows that God has, if you're saved, has called us out of darkness. So we start over in darkness and then calls us to His light. So I'm going to kind of show the progress of moving from darkness to light. So I think right in the middle would be pretty cool because it's going to show kind of the struggle of forsaking your sin essentially and clinging to the holiness of God. So right here in the middle, I think would be. So I'm going to put him right there. If I think the scale is wrong, I can always fix it later. But I think about like that would be fine. Okay. The first obvious problem is that my light looks really bad. I'm very bright, and this is kind of a dark scene. So we're going to work on that. But before we do that, we need to add the chain. I want to work on everything at one time. So let's go ahead and add the chain. So I've got the for the chain. Let me go ahead and open up that chain file that I have, and I went ahead and cut out everything. Then when we have that ready, we can find it first. There it is. Okay. So there's our chain. I'm going to go ahead and just stick it right there, right in the center of the picture. Call that chain. And also do a smart object on that. You don't know how big, how small it needs to be. But to start with, it's probably going to be about like that. And I'll just stick it right. I'll just stick it right there. Probably going to have it coming straight from the wrist rather than hanging down. Probably going to go about right there. Make sure our size is right. About right. All right, great. Okay, so we have the chain. We'll go ahead and black and white. All right. So the chain is about the right size. But what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to make it kind of go towards that door. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do a puppet warp. So I go to Edit, Puppet Warp. And if you never use Puppet Warp, it's an awesome tool. It's a little complicated, but it's not too bad. What you're going to do is you're going to be able to move this chain in any shape you want to. So the first thing you want to do is put a pin where you don't want it to change, right there. And then, so now make another pin maybe here. And now you can move this chain however you want to. So I'm going to have it going in to like the bottom third of the door, something like that. And I don't want a straight chain, so I want to kind of have it like a little bend in it. So maybe put a pin right in the center, just kind of bend the chain. Maybe something like that, and you can make it even more jagged if you want to. That. And so the chain's going to go off into the darkness, inside the darkness. That looks good right there. And then whenever you're done, just hit check, and it'll have it like that. So we need to make this end smaller. Go ahead and rest. We're going to make this end smaller. So I'm just going to move this chain kind of like that. All right, so let's zoom out. That's kind of what we got right there. So we got a chain coming from the darkness and onto the hands. And since the chain is going into darkness, we need to make a levels adjustment on that. And we need to make it go to that dark black color. Kind of like that. Then what you'll do is you're just going to have that levels adjustment just on the end of it right here. Like right in there. The only place it's going to be. You can actually just erase part of that chain, make it blend even more. Okay. So there we go. We got the chain coming out of the darkness, holding me, and we could add another chain if we wanted to. Do 2 chains. I think that would be pretty cool. Let's go ahead and add another chain. Do the same thing. So we're gonna make it smaller. And then this one we'll put it underneath this one. So this one will be going from my other hand. So we'll have 2 chains, one from the right hand, one from the left, like that. And then it's going to be going well. So then do your puppet warp, and it right there and right there. Have it that you don't want it to do the same thing, something like that. That's good. And then the same thing, you want to add the levels adjustment and then make it dark on the end. Then just paint it on the end. Maybe erase part of the chain as well. Okay, like that. Then you obviously have a problem up here with chain. Make that go underneath. Okay, there we go. All right, so we got 2 chains coming out of the darkness onto my hands. while I'm trying to get to the light. All right, that looks good. I'm going to make these chains in a group. Actually, no, I'm not. I'm going to put the model, which is me, and the chains all in a group. Okay, so we'll just do this model and chains. They're in one group. Okay. Now, inside that group, go to your model. We need to get rid of, there's a problem with the feet. The feet are standing perfectly on the grass, which makes no sense. So we need to erase part of the feet. So just go to your layer mask, get you out a foliage brush, and just paint kind of where foliage would be. Because you're stepping on foliage, it's going to fall down and go over top of your shoes and your jeans and stuff like that. Maybe kind of like that. That looks fine. And then let's also go ahead and add a shadow. Actually, we'll do the shadow in a minute. Go back to your group, your models and chains group, and go to your levels adjustment. Clip it to that group. And now we're going to kind of blend this for the scene. First thing I always do is always pull these highlights down like that, because you got to remember he's lit by the right side, so the left side is going to be a little bit darker. So we're going to go ahead and make that dark and get you a nice round brush here. Then you're going to paint with black spots that are being hit by the light. Should be these edges right here. So even part of the chain might have a little bit of light hitting it. But you can definitely shape the light a lot better when you do this. So all I'm doing is I changed the entire image dark, but I'm going to leave some light on the right side of my body. Right there, like on my chains on my hands and side of my face and my shoulders. Stuff like that is going to have light hitting it, while the rest of it is going to be dark. How that looks. Not perfect. We'll play with it a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to take that down just a little bit, a little too dark. Okay, now we need to add a blue tint to where that light's hitting. So what I'm going to do is make another layer on top of it. I'm going to do blue glow, and we're going to get a blue color like that, and then just change it to overlay. And so what it's going to do is wherever you paint a blue glow, brighter. So now you're going to have a nice little ring of blue light on the highlights, which is going to match this door right here. All right, there we go. So here's before and after with the blue glow. That looks good. Go to the next step. Okay, let's go back and add that shadow that we were going to do earlier. So go below your models and chains folder and just call it shadows, and change the blend mode to multiply. And then you're just going to do a nice dark gray color. And all you're going to do is just imagine where that light would cast a shadow if you were standing there. It would probably go something like this. So all I'm doing is drawing a dark gray, using paint to do a dark gray shape right here. It's going to be kind of the shape of my body if I were casting a shadow. And you got to change the multiply, which will make the ground below darker. I'll even get that chain in there too. So the chain's going to be kind of like right in there. Good. Okay, that looks good. And then what we'll do is the same thing we've done many times. Take a foliage brush and just kind of get rid of some of those leaves that might be, in front of the camera. That would not be hit by the shadow. There you go. And so here's before and after with the shadow. Turn it down just a little bit. All right, that looks good. Okay. Next step. All right, on top of everything, we're gonna work on these glows just a little bit. So I'm going to do, see this blue color? I'm going to do kind of like that color. Change your flow down. I'm going to paint really, really soft light coming out of this doorway. Not a lot, but it's going to be kind of covering up part of my body. Just kind of like that. Okay, that's good. And then tone that down just a bit. And let's see what happens if we do a little bit different. Change overlay, do a light purple. I don't know what this is going to look like, so we may not keep it. So all I did was just take a light pink purple and just did an overlay over top of it. So it's not a pure blue, kind of a blue and purple color. But this again, like this is not science, it's definitely art. Just whatever you think looks good. Okay. All right, that is not bad. We have it so far. All right, so now we're pretty much done. This is pretty much a done picture. I can go back and work on it a little bit more. But here's a few things. When I look at it as a big picture, I do want to do some fine tuning. So when you look at it as a whole, what sticks out to you and what needs work done? One thing that I noticed, I'm just looking at these chains right here. They look too dark. So I want to go back. I'm gonna go right back here and work on these chains just a little bit. So I'm gonna make them just a little bit not as black. That's good right there. And I think overall the model is a little too bright. So what I'm gonna do is just do another levels adjustment, do it like that. But I'm not gonna go completely black. And then I will fix the right side of my screen. So just a lot of little things you can work on those details. If you're a perfectionist, that is, if you're not a perfectionist, as soon as you get happy, just finish it and move on. But I do like to work on some of those details. Another one is this door over here. It doesn't look perfect to me. It looks like some of these vines need some help. Someone go back to that. This is a great thing about Photoshop. You can always just go back and work on certain areas. You don't have to commit to anything. So I'm going to just kind of work on these areas real quick. I'm just adding a few of these little details with a really small brush. And the details, if you have the details working out well for you, I mean, they will add to the picture. They will make the picture look so much better if the details make sense and they all line up perfectly. So definitely try to spend some time on those details. That looks a little bit better. Okay. Now after this, after you got your details working on, you can always do some more overall adjustments. I love to go to gradient maps and then play with those. I don't know exactly what I'm going to do with this one, but you could do some gradient maps and change it to overlay. Um, or another, so that's one interesting one where you have like purple and orange, or you could do more of a blue or whatever, or you can do black and white to add more contrast. Whatever you like to do, whatever you think would look good. Another one I like to do is do a gradient map and do like this color and then change it to lighten. It kind of gives this kind of dull, muted color look, which looks pretty good. But there's so many different things you can do to enhance the colors and just make it pop real good. But as far as this tutorial goes, I think we'll just go ahead and call this a completed project for now. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you learned something from this one. Again, this is all based on the concept that as a Christian, if you're a born again believer, that you are called out of darkness, that God reaches for you and calls you while you're in darkness, and he calls you to his marvelous light. So I wanted to just kind of display an image where someone is trying to break free from the darkness and go to the light. Kind of do it in a surreal way with some cool pictures of some old houses. So I had a good time doing it. I hope you enjoyed watching it. I'm going to post a link below to where you can get some of these pictures for free. These are my stock pictures, but I'll get a link for you to download them. And also, I'll get you a link to the brushes, the foliage brushes, so you can use those to paint with those and just have a good time with it. And if you do create some on your own, I'd love to see how they turn out. I hope that you learned something from it. I hope you found some use of this video. So thanks again for watching. Thanks for visiting ChristianPhotoshops.com, and I hope you have a great day.